1, 2. 1, 2. One, two. Yes, I am there. Oh dear. Good evening. This is VK3 EKH, the official station of the Astronomical Society of Victoria, with the regular Friday night broadcast coming to you from the studios of VK3CSJ in Narre Warren South. And we just barely made it to the desk after watching the Essendon St Kilda game on the TV, very, very close. That last kick towards the Essendon goals, I was hoping to get that, but there it is. they just needed a couple of more minutes. Anyway, never mind. Good evening, everyone. This 15th of August, 2025. And I hope everything is working. We're streaming on my YouTube channel, VK3CSJ. Just look for the live indication. We're also streaming on my Discord HD channel, which if you haven't signed up for that yet, register on Discord. And then there's a kind of a universal link that I provide on my UQRZ channel, VK3CSJ and VK3EKH QRZ page, and that'll get you into the astronomy chat room, which is also associated with the HD channel. I always promote the Discord HD channel, partly because for those that are listening on 80 meters and then watching the video side of things here, the delay is less than a second, whereas on YouTube it's anything up to 20 seconds. Anyway, I'm hoping that audio levels are okay. I've only just very quickly got things together. So anyway, we'll see how we go tonight. But yes, broadcasting on prime frequency of 3541 kilohertz in the 80 metre band. And also via Melbourne television repeater, VK3RTV, digital channel 1 in full HD. Welcome to TV viewers there. And like I say, on my YouTube and Discord. Okay, there's a few things tonight. I'm not sure if I'll take up the whole hour, but most likely will, as usually I do. But there's a few things there that I'm going to bring up tonight. There's an email address if anybody wishes to send signal reports and that you're watching the video side of it, please do. VK3EKH@gmail.com. VK3EKH@gmail.com. Let me know if the audio level is okay on 80. I think it's okay. I still haven't been able to fine-tune all the audio side of this since I lost my iComs. The two Pro 3s that I used to use for 80 and 160 have both died on me. So I'm currently using an FTDX 9000D for 80 metre comms. Nice radio, but I haven't been able to organise the audio side of it. Anyway, I think things are working okay. All right. First thing to kick off is the ASV, of which this broadcast is on behalf of and has been since 1988. The ASV is a non-profit society for people interested in astronomy, attracting and catering for people from a wide range of ages and backgrounds, abilities and interests. First formed in 1922, the society has grown to over 1,000 members. Its activities are coordinated by a council of elected office bearers and section directors and ordinary councillors. The ASV has weekly activities at our two metropolitan locations, the Morley Community Village and the Melbourne Observatory. We host monthly Astro Talks at the Herbarium near the Melbourne Observatory, and these Astro Talks are also streamed on YouTube, ASV's YouTube channel, and also the video feed on their Facebook page. The Society's library is also located at the Melbourne Observatory and is open during the Astro Talks on those monthly Wednesday nights. For over 50 years, the ASV has played a major role in the care of buildings and facilities at the Melbourne Observatory. Our members conduct regularly astronomy for people gatherings, a bit like street walk astronomy, the Americans used to call it, throughout the year, bringing telescopes and astronomy to Melbourne's parks and schools. And they say here to check the online calendar for when these events occur. They're obviously open to the public, so you can check for times that these events occur and roll up. As it says here, please check calendar for details if you are interested in attending one of these events. The ASV is currently involved in a number of major activities, projects. We are involved in the restoration of the Great Melbourne Telescope and are also currently working on the installation of a series of remote telescopes at the Dark Sky site, which once complete will be accessible to members for use. And as far as I know, 3 of the scope domes up there are now functional and are accessible via remote. So you have to be a member, of course, to gain access to that. And there'll be obviously some sort of instruction and probably training to be able to access those telescopes remotely and do observation runs. Thanks to a generous donation from a long-standing member of the ASV, no longer with us. His name was Leon Mao, and he donated the property to the ASV up there at Heathcote, and that's why we call it the Leon Mao Dark Sky site. Located north of Melbourne, it has a pristine night sky for deep sky observing. The ASV has a 25-inch telescope, a 40-inch telescope, and there's also a 16-inch telescope which is been configured for folks that might be in a wheelchair, for instance. So it's basically wheelchair accessible 16-inch telescope. I believe that's up and running and functional. I know there were a few issues with that a couple of years ago, but I think they've got that sorted out. There's when you go up to the Dark Sky site, they've created suitable paths all around the property now. So, i.e., if we do have wheelchair folks that go up there, they'll be able to go from one aspect of the site to another on a suitable footpath, which was a good thing to do, because the site up there was generally open ground, and if it had been raining, the soil was often quite soft. I can imagine a wheelchair getting bogged easily. Thanks to, I've already said that, where was I? Yes, and there's also a fully steerable radio telescope up there, a DS Kennedy dish, similar or exactly the same as the unit used for, or the model that the late Doug MacArthur has on his property, and used for many years for moon bounce work at 70 and 23 centimetres. And I believe it still sits there on his property. So I'm not sure what the outcome of that antenna is going to be, but nevertheless, we have a dish similar to that up at the Dark Sky site, which is, like I say, fully steerable, and I believe the radio astronomy section boys are up there this weekend to put the telescope to some interesting use, studying the hydrogen line. Right, there is an annual yearbook supplied to members as well, a bi-monthly newsletter called Crux, which all members are welcome to contribute to. The yearbook looks something like this for those watching video. That is a yearbook, which is kind of like an astronomical almanac of sorts for optical astronomers. Contains a lot of visual information for those interested in studying astronomy. And the Crux newsletter, the bi-monthly newsletter, is something like this guy for those watching video, and it's a glossy publication, and is a great read, a quick read. It's like I said, it's very thin. Usually, that doesn't get any thicker than that. But it's a couple of lunch times, and you'll have it done. The ASV has a logo, of course, which has the Southern Cross and the pointers on it, which is this guy. There you can see there on the magazine, and it has a motto, which is in Latin, and once it's translated, that stands for "This Way to the Stars." The ASV is governed by a set of rules which should be read before applying for membership. On the ASV website, there is a link to the ASV rules, which you, of course, can click on and have a study. Any person or organisation with an interest in astronomy may apply for membership of the Society. If you wish to write a letter, the address is... and I say this every week, I know you should address the envelope to the ASV, to the Secretary. There we go. I know this. The Secretary, the Astronomical Society of Victoria, GPO Box 1059, Melbourne, Victoria 3001. Address the envelope to the Secretary. That's what you write, just the Secretary. Astronomical Society of Victoria, GPO Box 1059, Melbourne, Victoria 3001. Otherwise, you can visit the website at www.asv.org.au. That's www.asv.org.au, and all information about the internet. About the society is located on that website. There are quite a few sections that make up the ASV's various activity groups. You've got astrophotography section, probably the biggest section out of all of them, as per member involvement. Astrophotography, the club section, comet and meteor section, and I think the comet and meteor section this week has gone in overdrive with the recent meteor that entered our skies over Victoria last Sunday night. I've got a little bit of info on that coming up. Computing section, cosmology and astrophysics, deep sky. Historical section, instrument making, juniors for the juniors, lunar and planetary, new astronomers group, radio astronomy, solar astronomy and space exploration. There are a number of sections that have disappeared off that list over the years, partly because the former directors have resigned or moved on, and they haven't been able to find a replacement section director for those sections, so they eventually temporarily disappear. And that's pretty much it, really. There was another section there that was dedicated to women in the ASV, but I don't know what happened to that. That seems to have disappeared off the list as well. So I'm not sure what the story is there. But nevertheless, like I say, all information needing to know. If you go to the ASV website, all those sections that I've just read out there are listed under the sections tab, and each individual section is a separate page once you click on it, and that'll reveal what they do, their information about what they do, and contact details for the section director. As far as I know, you don't have to be a member straight up. If you wish to pop in as a visitor, just contact the section director and see if you can get permission to come in on a meeting. Some of the meetings are done by Zoom. Some meetings are now done at a particular location, and you should be more than welcome to pop in as a guest to see whether this is what you're interested in, and then from there you can follow up on how to become a member of the ASV. That's a bit how it started with me so many years ago. I joined, became involved with the ASV in 1993, the radio astronomy section, and have been ever since, more or less. So but initially I rolled up at the meeting, and the section director would hassle me to join the ASV. It took a little while, but I finally decided to do it. But that's another story, and as they say, that's history. All right, you're tuned to ASV Radio, VK3 EKH, broadcasting on behalf of the ASV. This week coming up is in fact, the week it's already been, actually. This week coming up until Sunday, is it? Let me just check the calendar. Yeah, okay, all right. Well, this week it's just been and gone is also the National Science Week. So if you head over to Museums Victoria or Science Works at Williamstown, there's still a host of activity going on up until Sunday. So if you've got kids that are otherwise bored and you want to get them away from their mobile phones, take them out to the Science Museum, Science Works, and I understand that there's quite a host of things going on there as a result of National Science Week, which, like I say, finishes up this Sunday. All right, the first article I'm going to throw in here, there's two quick articles, there's three relatively quick articles before I go into a couple of other interesting things. So, courtesy of astronomy.com, this article is dealing with Voyager 1 and Voyager 2, and it's actually a question that's been posed to Ask Astro on the astronomy.com website. The question is, will Voyager 1 and Voyager 2 be damaged when they pass through the Oort cloud? And it starts off by saying, this was published August 11, your odds of winning the lottery are still 100,000 times larger than the probability of either Voyager hitting a comet, it says here. So Terry Wilson of Georgia, Virginia, North Prince George, I think it is actually, asks that question, will Voyager 1 and Voyager 2 spacecraft be damaged when they finally pass through the Oort cloud? Now, there's a couple of images here. Let me just bring up, of course, the Voyager image. I know we all know what Voyager looks like, but nevertheless, there it is. And it's a secondary image here, which I'll bring up in a second. Okay. The Voyager 1 and Voyager 2 spacecraft were launched in 1977. Both passed Jupiter in 1979 and went on to Saturn a few years later, after which Voyager 2 also continued on to Uranus and Neptune. Eventually, both entered interstellar space, leaving the heliopause, where the Sun's solar wind and the interstellar wind of the Milky Way galaxy meet and are in balance. In August 2012 and November 2018, respectively, as of this writing, Voyager 1 is farther from Earth at nearly 168 astronomical units from the Sun, because it is moving faster, 18 kilometres per second, or 3.6 AU per year, than its sister ship, which is moving only at 16 kilometres per second. And I'll bring up this other graphic now. Okay. 1 AU, of course, is defined as the mean separation between Earth and the Sun at 150 million kilometres. For reference, Earth's orbital speed around the Sun is at about 6.3 AU per year, or 30 kilometres per second. It's hard to imagine that. I always think that's a rather amazing thing to imagine, that we're hurtling as we sit on this ball. We're all hurtling through space at 30 kilometres per second, or 6.3 AU per year. It's an interesting one. In 1950, Leiden University astronomer Jon Hendrik Oort theorised the existence of a cloud of comets beyond some 10,000 AU from the Sun, possibly filling the volume dominated by the Sun's gravitational influence in the Milky Way galaxy. This volume is an almost spherical bubble stretching as far as 100,000 AU. In comparison, the distance of the nearest star, Proxima Centauri, is about 270,000 AU, or 4.24 light years. So far, the Oort cloud has not been observed directly, but many visiting comets originate from this enigmatic region. Oort estimated that the cloud would contain some 100 billion comet-sized objects, meaning a radius of 6.2 miles, or 10 kilometres. The total mass would be roughly comparable to Earth's, full stop. Some comets, such as Hale-Bopp, are much larger and more massive, but smaller comets are most common. With a 10-kilometre radius, a comet has a surface area of about 116 square miles, or 300 square kilometres. If we spread out all 100 billion comets, they would cover a surface area roughly comparable to the Sun's surface. Now imagine that each of these comets are lifted from the Sun's surface to a distance of 10,000 AU, the inner edge of the Oort cloud. Each comet will then be separated, or become separated from its neighbours, and surface area covered by them drops by a factor of about 1 in 10 to the power of 13. If this is difficult to imagine, here's a more earthly example. Compare the comets in the Oort cloud to the 96 million black styrofoam balls dumped in 2015 in the Los Angeles reservoir to prevent evaporation. If we spread those styrofoam balls over the entire Earth's surface, the probability of finding one of them in your garden is comparable to winning the jackpot in a lottery. These odds are still 100,000 times larger than the probability of Voyager hitting a comet. So, yes. Voyager 1, Voyager 2 will continue on their trip into the vastness of the universe unhindered by meteorites or comet. Well, there's a possibility they could get hit, but I mean, as it stands, the James Webb Space Telescope has already been hit by a micrometeorite. One of the mirrors has been damaged, not severely, not enough to put the telescope out of action, of course, but they have been able to confirm that one of the outer mirrors on the James Webb Telescope had been impacted, but nothing serious. Thank goodness for that. All right, you're tuned to ASV Radio, VK3EKH. Time is 25 past the hour, coming up to at least. And the next little article here is, why are there so many different types of stars? Two factors result in so many different types of stars: the size of the clouds they are born from and what kinds of elements they contain. And we have a general image here of a star field, which I shall throw up. And I'll see if I can dig up my little insert. There we are. So this article is fairly brief too, thank goodness. What are the factors that result in so many different sizes and classes of stars? You may have wondered this. To understand how we classify and differentiate the stars we see in the sky, we first need to understand how they are born and change throughout their lives. Star formation begins with a massive cloud of cold gas and dust. The gas and dust then begin to clump together, and as a single clump grows in size, its gravity gets stronger. It then keeps accumulating the material around it until its gravity becomes so strong that it collapses in on itself, like a sandcastle built so tall that it can't support its own weight. As that collapse happens, the inside of the now very large clump begins to heat up because of all the pressure from the tons and tons of material that are on top of it. How and when this collapse starts depends on the overall mass of the gas and dust cloud and what type of elements are inside it. Compared to a smaller cloud, a more massive cloud can produce stars that are more massive and make a larger number of them. A cloud with a lot of metals, defined by astronomers as elements heavier than helium, can make massive stars with high concentrations of those elements and make them quickly, while clouds with more hydrogen and helium tend to make smaller stars more slowly. A baby star that is born from one of these clouds has a very specific size, mass, temperature, and elemental makeup based on the collapse. Once this star's core gets hot enough to start fusing hydrogen into helium, we define it as a main sequence star, which includes those like our own star or sun. As the star gets older and evolves, its mass and elemental composition still play a big role. Bigger stars fuse elements in their cores much faster than smaller ones, causing them to run out of fuel sooner and therefore die earlier. They are astronomy's version of live, fast, die young stars with lots of heavy metals also tend to evolve more quickly than stars with fewer heavy elements, and can lose a lot of their mass throughout their lives. This combination of processes makes every star a little different size, temperature and brightness, etc., which leads to our classification of stars. So, long story short, the two primary factors that result in so many different types of stars are dictated how we classify them are the size of their molecular clouds the stars are born from and what kinds of elements are inside them. And believe you me, we think our star is a big star, but there are stars out there that are massive, that are huge mothers. All right, you're tuned to ASV Radio, VK3 Echo Kilo Hotel, the official station of the Astronomical Society of Victoria. Now, this came to my attention just yesterday, in fact, and this might be news to some people, and rather amusing, actually. Owen Garriott, I think that's how you pronounce his surname. Owen Garriott. Do you know who Owen Garriott is? Born November 22, 1930 and passed away April 15, 2019. Was an American electrical engineer and a NASA astronaut who spent 60 days aboard the Skylab space station in 1973 during the Skylab 3 mission, and 10 days aboard Spacelab 1 on a space shuttle mission in 1983. After serving in the United States Navy, Garriott was an engineering professor at Stanford University before attending the United States Air Force pilot training program and later joining NASA. After this NASA career, he worked for various aerospace companies, consulted on NASA-related committees, taught as an adjunct professor, and conducted research on microbes found in extreme environments. Okay, I'm just reading a bit more of this. What I was aiming towards, though, there's a lot more information there I could read out, but I won't do it. But what I was getting to is that during his time on Skylab, he decided to create a prank, a joke. And on September 10, 1973, controllers in Houston were startled to hear a woman's voice beaming down from Skylab. The voice startled capsule communicator, or Capcom, Robert Crippen, by calling him by name. And then the woman explained, "Oh, the boys haven't had a home-cooked meal in so long, I thought I'd bring one up." After several minutes in which she described forest fires seen from space and beautiful sunrise, the woman said, "Oh, I have to cut off now. I think the boys are floating up here toward the command module, and I'm not supposed to be talking to you." As Garriott later revealed, he had recorded his wife on a cassette. His wife's name was Helen, and had recorded these comments on a cassette before the launch, giving the descriptions of multiple events that might occur during the mission. But having done all that, of course, the mission control people down in Houston were a bit taken aback by it all, because for a moment it appeared that that Owen's wife was in fact on board the ship, and the question was, how did you get up there? Or, how did you, why? And it had everybody back in Houston apparently completely gobsmacked as to how this could have happened. Nobody knew. So it was a prank, and this is genuine. You can type in Owen Garriott on Wikipedia, and that's described in minor detail. So suffice to say that I don't think that a prank like that was ever done again. But he must have had a fairly decent sense of humour. It came to light just yesterday. In fact, thanks to Robert Arrowsmith for that little bit of information, VK3XRA. All right, moving along. Okay, let's bring up the picture of this. This is a bit of interest too, I think. Yerkes Observatory, I think that's how you pronounce that. Yerkes Observatory acquires historic glass plate collection. The Yerkes Future Foundation officially owns the historic Yerkes Observatory glass plates, securing a vital link between astronomy's past and future discoveries. And what you're seeing there on the screen is the main dome of Yerkes Observatory in Wisconsin. The Yerkes Future Foundation, which operates the historic observatory, recently finalised the acquisition of the site's collection of some 180,000 astronomical glass plates, which is how pictures of the sky were originally taken. On June 28th, the Yerkes Future Foundation, YFF, the non-profit, has operated Yerkes Observatory since 2020, finalised the legal transfer of the site's massive astronomical glass plate collection from the University of Chicago. The foundation is now the official owner and steward of some 180,000 plates. And here is a picture of these plates. Rather amazing stuff. Before digital cameras, astronomers used large glass plates coated with photosensitive chemicals to capture images of the night sky. The plates were loaded into a telescope and left for long exposures, resulting in faint images. The Yerkes collection, created between 1900 and 1970, not only has historic value, but also scientific value. As a time capsule of the cosmos, it allows modern astronomers to study how stars, galaxies, and other objects have changed over more than a century. The YFF's next undertaking is to digitize the entire collection and launch a citizen science project where volunteers will transcribe the original handwritten logbooks. This effort will unlock the plate's data, allowing researchers and the public to mine over a century of observations to answer new astronomical questions. Yerkes Observatory opened in 1897 in Williams Bay, Wisconsin, constructed by a visionary astronomer, George Ellery Hale. The facility is famous for housing the world's largest refractor telescope and a star-studded list of astronomers, including Edwin Hubble, Carl Sagan, studied or worked within its walls. That history was nearly erased when the observatory's long-time operator, the University of Chicago, wound down its activities at Yerkes in 2018, effectively shutting it. But as Astronomy detailed last year, the non-profit YFF has quickly formed to save the facility. The YFF's goal is not only to preserve the historic nature of the site, but the observatory to serve as a bridge to future scientific research. This plate acquisition is a tangible first step toward fulfilling such a mission. One more image here. Dr. Amanda Bauer, Montgomery Foundation Deputy Director and Head of Science Education at Yerkes Observatory, with glass plates. You can see there in that picture. These plates represent a remarkable scientific legacy, said Amanda Bauer, Head of Yerkes Science and Education Efforts. They captured photons from stars and galaxies over 100 years ago, light that we can never be collected again. By preserving and sharing this unique data set, Yerkes is ensuring its century-old observations can help answer the astronomical questions of tomorrow. Here is one of the images on one of these plates, which is just here. So this is what, when I started looking at astronomical books and whatnot when I was a kid. There was hardly any colour images of the sky, of distant galaxies and nebula. It was all black and white photography, and anyone could have imagined that. Is that the colour of the universe, black and white? So I think it's fitting that for an astrophotographer these days to have a collection of black and white images. I think that's something I'm going to aim for with the astrophotography that I hope to do myself from my dome in the backyard, is not only do colour photography, but I think of the same images, produce black and white images. Black and white, as you can imagine, monochrome, can produce a different feel, a different aspect to these images in the universe. Colour brings another completely different aspect to it, but monochrome images are quite unique on their own. Anyway, enough of that. But it's a good thing that they've found these plates. So that's pretty good stuff. This is VK3EKH, the official station of the Astronomical Society of Victoria, with the regular Friday night broadcast. Now, I note the time is coming up to 11 o'clock, and I do have a couple of videos to run. So what I might do, let me see. Hang on, let me just run this video. Let's see if I can just do this easily enough. It's on a loop, and where did I put it here? Alright, let's see if I can run that. There's no audio, I don't think. Well, there might be. Let's see if I can... yeah, I'll just kill the audio that's associated with that, but I don't think it's much to worry about. Anyway, last Sunday, around 7:30ish, there was a meteorite that entered the atmosphere. And as you can see in the footage here, I've only got a couple of shots of it, but there's actually numerous images, desktop cams and security cameras that have caught this meteor coming down over Victoria, and it kind of came from pretty much directly above and headed in a southwesterly direction. Melbourne Monash University have had a team out there on Monday searching an area about 2 kilometres long by about 500 metres wide, or some narrow slice of land, trying to look for fragments for the meteorite. But so far, as far as I know, there's been nothing found at this stage. The other issue that they're having is trying to gain access to private property too. As you can imagine, that might cause a few issues. But as far as I know at this stage, there's been nothing discovered at this point in time. But I believe there was a sonic boom. There was some sort of sound made from this entry, and yeah, pretty amazing. I was well inside making dinner at that time, so I missed it. The All Sky camera up at Heathcote at the Dark Sky site captured this. So that in that view there, the bottom of the screen is south, and the right side is west. So as you can see, the meteor came in from pretty much zenith, right above, and headed to southwest. It was in that general direction. So pretty amazing stuff. Amazing grace. Okay. I don't know if I showed the astronaut from before too. Here's a picture of that astronaut too, by the way. Owen Garriott, the one who played the prank. Did I show that picture? I can't remember if I showed his picture, but that's the astronaut that I was talking about before, Owen Garriott, who played the prank on board the Skylab. I don't know if I showed that picture of him or not. I can't remember. Anyway, now continuing on with the meteorite theme, I figured I'd do this. Let me see where I am on vMix first. So I just did that and I shouldn't have. All right. I'll get back to this. Oh yeah. Now this is a report in the National Victorian Astronomy. Victorian media flashes lights up social media. Victorians have reported a meteor burning up in the sky Sunday night just before 8 p.m. Social media was filled with people between Ballarat and Bendigo, along with others in Melbourne's outer western suburbs, reporting the sight of a fireball in the night sky before hearing and feeling its impact when it burned out in the sky. So I thought I'd just bring that one up. Now, next thing I want to go into, we have previously mentioned about Murchison meteorite. The Murchison meteorite is a meteorite that fell in Australia in 1969 near Murchison, Victoria. It belongs to a carbonaceous chondrite class of group of meteorites rich in organic compounds. Due to its mass over 100 kilograms, and the fact that it was an observed fall, The Murchison's meteorite is one of the most studied of all meteorites, apparently. In January 2020, cosmochemists reported that the oldest material found on Earth to date are the silicon carbide particles from the Murchison meteorite, which have been determined to be 7 billion years old, about 2.5 billion years older than the 4.54 billion year age of Earth and the solar system. The published study noted that dust lifetime estimates mainly rely on sophisticated theoretical models. These models, however, focus on the more common small dust grains and are based on assumptions with large uncertainties. Briefly, on 28th of September 1969, at approximately 10:58 a.m. local time near Murchison, Victoria in Australia, a bright fireball was observed to separate into 3 fragments before disappearing, leaving a cloud of smoke. About 30 seconds later, a tremor was heard. Many fragments were found scattered over an area larger than 13 square kilometres, with individual masses up to 7 kilograms, one weighing 680 grams, broke through a roof and fell in a hay. The total collected mass of meteorites exceeds 100 kilograms. Isn't that amazing? Now, that's just reading off Wikipedia, but I've got this video which I found of this story. It only goes for a few minutes. Let me see if I can just key it up, if I can find where it is. Where did I put it? It is here somewhere. Here we are. Alright, this goes for 3 minutes. And I better make sure that the audio is patched through to Discord. So I'll just select that. And bear with me a tick. And select that. I think that's all I need to do. Murchison media capture, yeah. Alright, that should be able to pass audio over to Discord for those watching Discord. So stand by. I'll just run this video and patch it across on 80 meters, of course. This is VK3EKH.
I was 8 years old at the time. I'd just left Sunday school and I was sitting on the bus. This is in Benalla, of course, near Murchison. And I just happened to be looking out the window, right place at the right time. It was a clear, bright blue, sunny sky. And I saw this brilliant white flash low on the western horizon. I knew enough about space and astronomy and all of those things to realise that it was a meteorite. And I didn't think anything of it at the time, but then there started to be reports on the news that evening and in the newspapers in following days, referring to it as the Murchison meteorite. And you've got to remember this is 1969, not long after the moon landings, so everyone, all of society was absolutely consumed with anything to do with space and the solar system.
The Murchison meteorite is one of the most fascinating and studied meteorites known. It is classified as a carbonaceous chondrite, and after being analysed, it was discovered to contain many of the essential ingredients for life, things such as amino acids, sugars, and alcohol-related compounds. Pieces of the Murchison meteorite are held here at Geoscience Australia, and we thought we would take it out and let Chris reunite with the meteorite he witnessed fall over 50 years ago. I'll let you get it out, Chris.
Oh wow, look at that. Look at that. That is remarkable. It really is an unusual rock.
Even I was fascinated, like the water content, 8%
yeah,
water.
It's a lot, isn't it, for a piece of rock that's been floating around in space for most of its life.
Yeah. Research studies into its makeup have continued over the decades, with exciting new discoveries made regularly. For example, It has a water content of around 8%, which may hold clues as to why we have water here on Earth.
I think the thing I find absolutely astonishing about this is there's material in here that predates the solar system. I think that's astonishing, half the age of the universe.
Perhaps most significantly, a recent study revealed it contains the oldest material ever found on Earth, in the form of 7 billion-year-old stardust grains. And this is a full 2.5 billion years older than our Earth and solar system.
That was fantastic just to pick it up, actually. That was quite special to reconnect with this meteorite after having seen it fall in 1969, quite a long time ago. There are fragments in the Murchison meteorite that are over 7 billion years old, much older than the solar system. And it was very special to hold something that old that represents something primordial in the formation of the universe.
Pieces of the Murchison meteorite, along with other significant space rocks, are on display and available for research at the National Mineral and Fossil Collection here at Geoscience Australia in Canberra.
Okay, courtesy of Geoscience Australia, and most interesting indeed that is a recent meteorite, and that so much was found. So definitely an interesting one. So this current meteor that fell to Earth, there could be fragments yet to be found. So let's hope that they actually do find something. Bit of a needle in a haystack type scenario, but anyway. Now I'm going to segue into another local meteor story, the Cranbourne meteorite, which we did also mention a few weeks ago on another topic, but I've got a video on that too. It's interesting. There's actually so much about this one, the forgotten meteorite field near Melbourne, Cranbourne meteorites, and there's apparently quite a number of fragments that have been found, up to 13, all labelled from Cranbourne 1 to Cranbourne 13, from a period dating back as far as 1853 to 2008 was the latest fragment. Let me queue up this other video, courtesy of Oz Geology, and you can get absorbed into this. I think that's it. Yep, this goes for about 11 minutes, and let me see if we can get this going ahead. This is VK3EKH.
The Cranbourne meteorite field in Victoria, Australia, represents one of the world's most remarkable meteorite showers. 13 massive iron meteorite fragments have been recovered southeast of Melbourne, making Cranbourne the second largest meteorite find in Australia after Mundrobilla. These iron masses are classified as coarse octahedrite iron meteorites of the IAB main group, and their story weaves together Indigenous lore, chance discoveries by farmers, and cutting-edge mineralogical research. Long before scientists recognised their extraterrestrial origin, the Great Cranbourne iron masses were local curiosities. According to oral histories, members of the Bunurong Aboriginal people knew of at least one large iron rock on the plains. They would dance around it and strike it with stone tomahawks to hear its ringing metallic sound. European settlers also came across these strange iron boulders. In the early 1850s, a cattle grazier named Mackay encountered the largest of the masses, later named Cranbourne No. 1, protruding from the ground on his property. The exact year of discovery is a bit obscure, but official records placed the find in 1853. At the time, Mackay and others assumed the iron lump was a natural outcrop of terrestrial iron. By the end of the 1850s, reports emerged of a second large iron block about 6 kilometres from Mackay's property. In 1860, Melbourne's town clerk, Edmund Gerald Fitzgibbon, an amateur geologist, investigated these reports. Fitzgibbon visited both the original site and the newly noted iron mass. He found 2 distinct buried iron boulders, which were duly excavated. To everyone's astonishment, these were not mere iron outcrops, but meteorites, remnants of a meteor shower that had peppered the region in ages past. Thus, in 1860, the iron stumps were finally recognised as meteorites and designated Cranbourne No. 1 and Cranbourne No. 2. Their initial discoveries date back to 1853, but it took 7 years for their meteoritic nature to be confirmed. Cranbourne No. 1 and No. 2 are true giants. No. 1 weighed around 3,550 kilograms and No. 2 about 1,525 kilograms. For context, Cranbourne No. 1, nicknamed the Bruce meteorite after a local landowner, was the largest iron meteorite known in the world at the time of its discovery. Cranbourne No. 2, the Abel meteorite, after discoverer A.T. Abel, was not far behind. News of these colossal irons spread quickly in scientific circles. Amid the excitement of 1860, a smaller but intriguing third meteorite came to light. Cranbourne No. 3 was a modest iron fragment compared to its gigantic siblings, originally about 6.8 kilograms. A farmhand had actually unearthed this piece a few years earlier in 1857 on the same property as Cranbourne No. 1. Unaware of its significance, the farmer had repurposed a dense iron chunk as a kitchen hob, a support in a wood-fired stove. In the process, the meteorite was broken. Roughly half, some 3.2 kilograms, remained in use, while the other half was discarded and lost. When scientists realised in 1860 that this iron hob was meteoritic, the remaining piece of Cranbourne No. 3 was sent off for analysis, only to vanish in transit. Tragically, the last 3.2 kilograms of Cranbourne No. 3 was lost in 1860 before it could be studied. To this day, it survives only in historical records. Discovery of additional Cranbourne meteorites resumed in the late 19th century. Each find was serendipitous. None were the result of planned searches, but rather chance encounters during farming, construction or land clearing. A total of 9 more pieces, Cranbourne numbers 4 through 12, were recovered between 1876 and 1928, painting a picture of a wide meteoritic strewn field. Let's go through some of them. 1876, Cranbourne No. 9, Beaconsfield Iron. Workers cutting a railway line unearthed a 74.9 kilogram iron meteorite near Beaconsfield. Not recognising its true value, they allowed a German mineral dealer to acquire it. Sadly, this dealer saw the iron more as a commodity than a scientific specimen. He cut the 75 kilogram meteorite into many small pieces and sold them off. Today, Cranbourne No. 9 is listed as probably widely distributed, existing only as scattered slices in collections around the world. 1886, Cranbourne No. 10, Langwarrin Iron. A hefty 915 kilogram iron was discovered by a farmer ploughing his field near Langwarrin, around 8 kilometres southeast of the Langwarrin railway station. The farmer, a man named Padley, initially mistook the meteorite for a mere boulder and rolled it aside to continue ploughing. A government geologist later recognised the iron's extraterrestrial nature and urged that it be sent to the museum. The Langwarrin meteorite remained on the finder's property for decades until it was finally sold in 1938 to the US National Museum in Washington, D.C., now the Smithsonian's National Museum of Natural History, where it resides today. 1903, Cranbourne No. 11, the Pursdale Iron. Discovered just below the surface on a farm near Pursdale, this iron mass weighed 762 kilograms. The finder did not report it to authorities. Instead, he kept the meteorite on his property in secret for over 30 years. In 1938, the Pursdale meteorite was quietly sold and ended up in the Smithsonian collections alongside the Langwarrin Iron. Both No. 10 and 11 thus became part of American museum holdings. 1923, the Devon Meadows Cluster, Cranbourne numbers 4, 5, 7 and 8. In a remarkable stroke of luck, 4 meteorites were found in 1923 in a single paddock near Devon Meadows, not far from the Cranbourne No. 1 site. Local farmers, ploughing their fields, turned up one iron after another. The largest of this cluster, Cranbourne No. 4, weighed 1,270 kilograms, nearly as massive as Cranbourne No. 2. The others were smaller but still significant. All 4 were buried only shallowly, just beneath the soil, suggesting they had been resting undisturbed since the ancient fall. The 1923 finds electrified researchers. As such, a concentration of meteorites provided clues about how the meteorite shower may have broken apart. Today, these pieces are held in various Melbourne collections, including Museums Victoria, which holds No. 4, and the Geological Survey and University of Melbourne, which hold others. 1928, Cranbourne No. 6, the Pakenham Iron. The last of the early Cranbourne meteorites was uncovered during roadworks in 1928. While widening the Princess Highway near Pakenham, about 50 kilometres east of Cranbourne, workers dug up a 40.5 kilogram iron meteorite from roughly the first metre of soil. Designated Cranbourne No. 6, the Pakenham meteorite was given to the Victorian Geological Survey Museum in Melbourne, where it remains on exhibit. By 1930, a dozen meteorite fragments had been found in the Cranbourne area. Remarkably, all these discoveries were by chance. No systematic scientific search was ever conducted in the district, yet the accidental finds had been thoroughly documented by diligent geologists of the era. Thanks to their detailed field notes, we know not only the weights and dates, but also the precise locations of each recovery. Such careful records would later allow geoscientists to analyse the spatial distribution of the meteorites and hypothesise about the breakup of the original meteoroid. But what kind of cosmic event produced the Cranbourne shower? The scattered find sites offer tantalising hints. The Cranbourne meteorite field likely fell within the last 800 to 1000 years, so Indigenous Australians could have and probably did witness it. So at this point you might be thinking, why didn't it leave behind any craters? The Cranbourne meteorites did not leave visible craters because the meteoroid broke apart high in the atmosphere, causing the fragments to slow significantly before reaching the ground. By the time they landed, their speed had dropped to terminal velocity, far below the threshold needed to create impact craters. The shallow oblique angle of entry further extended their atmospheric flight path, allowing more time for deceleration. For decades, the Cranbourne meteorite tally stood at 12 known fragments. Then, in 2008, the story gained an exciting new chapter. In a market garden near Clyde, close to the locale of Cranbourne No. 2's discovery, a farmer unearthed a very heavy, rusty rock and set it aside. He was initially inclined to dispose of the cumbersome boulder, even rolling it into a rubbish skip. Fortunately, a curious friend noticed the object's unusual heft and metallic character and urged him to have it tested. When geologists at Museums Victoria examined a cut sample, they confirmed the unbelievable. This was indeed another piece of the Cranbourne iron meteorite shower. Designated Cranbourne No. 13, the new fragment weighs about 85 kilograms. Its discovery, more than 80 years after the last known piece, underscores the possibility that further meteorites from the original fall could still lie hidden. Cranbourne 13's owner decided against selling the valuable find. Instead, he offered to donate it to the Melbourne Museum on the condition that it remain in the city of Casey on long-term display. Over the eons spent buried in Earth's soil, the Cranbourne irons have weathered and oxidised on their surfaces. A crust of brownish-black limonite, iron oxide hydroxide, commonly coats the meteorites. Within this weathering rind, one can find secondary minerals. For example, trevorite, a nickel iron oxide, and, notably, trace amounts of iron and nickel chlorides, forming greenish incrustations. These chlorides are products of the reaction between meteoritic metal and salts in the groundwater. In fact, very recently, a rare new mineral was identified on corroded Cranbourne meteorite fragments, muoniona leuctite. Muoniona leuctite is a hydrated nickel hydroxychloride, a mineral first described in 2021 from a Swedish meteorite and only the third occurrence of its kind worldwide. Museums Victoria scientists discovered tiny green patches of muoniona leuctite on the rusty exterior of Cranbourne pieces and confirmed the mineral in 2024. Today, Cranbourne meteorite specimens are exhibited in major museums on 3 continents, from London's Natural History Museum to the Smithsonian in Washington DC to Melbourne Museum, as well as in local displays in the city of Casey. Modern researchers continue to study Cranbourne samples to glean insights into metallography, mineralogy, and planetary science, and community interest remains strong, as evidenced by the excitement around the discovery of Cranbourne No. 13 in 2008 and its exhibition to schoolchildren. The Cranbourne meteorite field tells a story that weaves together science, culture, and curiosity. From the strange iron stump that once echoed under Aboriginal dances to the recent discovery of a rare mineral forming on its rusted surface, these ancient space rocks have long captured our imagination. Who knows just how many pieces still lie hidden beneath the suburbs in the region? And who knows how many pieces have been discarded over the past century and a half, where they probably now sit buried in landfill? I hope you found this as interesting as I did. And as always, thanks for watching. Before I end this...
Thank you for that, Geo Oz, I think it is. Audio. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. And I've just got to bring up that a little bit more. 4, 4, 4, 4, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I think that's okay for the YouTube side of things. All right. So yeah, I haven't seen that particular video before. So this Cranbourne event was rather interesting, and it's just amazing. It's just here. So I could be working in the garden outside and come across one of these fragments. Better keep an eye out. But yeah, some of these fragments I hadn't done a trip to see and observe them directly and personally. So I should one day take a trip to the local museum and the Casey one and have a bit of a study of these up close and personal. But really, really fascinating indeed. So I hope you've found that educational. All right, I'm going to finish off with the solar weather report. This is our current sun. If you were to be able to look at the sun right now, the solar wind is currently at 420.8 kilometres a second at a density of 2.42 protons per cubic centimetre. There's a swag of sunspots on that sun as we speak. The current sunspot number is 170. The radio sun, measured at a wavelength of 10.7 centimetres, is currently 130 solar flux units. The aurora over Antarctica at the moment is looking a bit like this for those watching video. So there's a little bit of activity there, but nothing to write home about. And the coronal hole is looking a bit like that. So yes, there's no current report from Tamitha Scove, so this will have to do. And basically, the space weather is reporting that so that's something else. It's actually that's not something else, but they've got a report here saying that do geomagnetic storms affect blood pressure? Solar activity might be doing more than sparking auroras. A new study in communications medicine suggests it could be nudging your blood pressure too. Researchers in China analysed more than 500,000 blood pressure readings taken over 6 years in the cities throughout China, some cities in China, and they compared those measurements to the AP index, a standard measure of geomagnetic activity. The result, blood pressure rises and falls in rhythm with magnetic unrest. Unbelievable. Yeah, so if you want to find out more information, just go to spaceweather.com. There's actually quite a decent write-up on all that and a couple of graphs that kind of confirm that. I find that hard to believe, but anyway. All right, and as of the 15th of August, there were 2,349 potentially hazardous asteroids, and one of those fragments entered Victoria last Sunday. It could have been a big one that might have done some damage, but fortunately it wasn't. Okay, having said all that, that's the end of tonight's session at 9 past the hour. I hope everybody found tonight of some value. Not many people listening, I'm afraid, from what I can tell. G'day Nebs is there. Steve, VK3SPX is there. You're a bit of a latecomer, I think, aren't you, Steve? And on email, we received 2 emails. G'day to John De Kaiser, who's listening on the YouTube side of things. And also Steve, VK3HK reports a perfect picture and audio on the YouTube side of things as well. So I'm glad to know that hasn't fallen over. All right, on that note, we shall go across to 80 metres and see if any stations are out there wishing to to check in for tonight's session. This is VK3EKH listening on 3541.
VK3SPX. VK3AOB. VK3 Bravo Sierra Echo.
Okay, VK3SPX, VK3AOB, and VK3BSE. Anybody else? No, not a problem. Go ahead, Steve. VK3SPX. Did you see the meteorite? VK3EKH.
VK3EKH, VK3SPX. G'day, Clint. Yes, you're right over Lake Como. Abbott Aircraft meeting just got back 10 minutes ago, so just put 10 minutes. I didn't see the meteor, but sitting here in Barringup, we were looking at telly, and we certainly heard the sonic boom.
Oh, really?
I said to my wife, was that someone out shooting foxes or something? In retrospect, it didn't really sound like the crack you get out of a rifle. It was more like a kaboom, you know. And then next day, of course, I heard about the meteor. I thought, well, how about that? We did hear that. So, yeah, and as you probably know, it was thought to fall somewhere in our region. So that's interesting. I saw a post you made, actually, wondering about where it had fallen. And I guess you discussed this earlier on in your broadcast. So I don't know, but maybe if you have an update on exactly where
Yeah, no, nothing.
Supposed to be writing a little article in the Barringup newsletter about this. So I spent a few hours today about meteors and having a look to see everybody figured out where it came down. So, yeah. Anyway, sorry about missing the whole thing there, Cliff, but we'll be back again. No problem. I'm sure it was as good as usual. VK3EKH, VK3SPX.
Yeah, not a problem, Steve. VK3SPX, VK3EKH. Yeah, I deliberately held held off going into the meteorite theme until after 10:30. So I covered a few articles first, and then I updated with a few shots of the actual meteor itself entering the atmosphere. There's actually, as I mentioned, there was a swag of video from dash cams, security cams from all over the place. But the video that I had was only really showed two views, which I think I can just quickly bring up now, if I can find it quick enough. Where's that? There it is. Okay, hang on a sec. Just patching that through. Kill the audio. So yeah, so this is I'm just playing the video now, which you can see. And but as I say, there was a swag of other video information or taken of this entry. So I'm impressed that you actually heard it. So that's pretty significant, Steve. That you got a chance to hear the entry. So that's amazing. It really is amazing. But to actually happen to be looking out at the time that it entered and burned up is something else. I figured the meteor and comet section on ASV would be right up there, and they were. You look at their various comments on the Facebook page, and it's certainly full of activity. I didn't see all that. When I posted my question about does anybody know that any fragments have been found, I didn't realise there was so much commentary before my statement. So I then decided to go back over a few days, and I realised that there had been a bit of talk about it, and pretty much it answered my question anyway, that at this present point in time there has been no found fragments in the search area. I'm not 100% sure, but I think I heard that by Monash University had a group out on Monday before the weather changed a bit, and they said that according to they've got a bunch of cameras, dedicated cameras that are designed to image meteorite burns in the sky, and they triangulate. Once there has been an event, they can triangulate between the various cameras that are online to try and zero in on a possible location where an impact may have occurred, and that's when they discovered that that there was this narrow path between Bendigo and Ballarat down that sort of direction where something could have occurred. So and the comments on the ASV Facebook page were also mentioning how some of the land owners were being a little bit toey about having strangers wandering across their properties looking for meteorite fragments. So I don't know how successful they've been, but I suspect if anything is found in time that a bit of rock that shouldn't be there, it will make the 6 o'clock news, I suspect, or at least it'll feature somewhere. So stay tuned, as they say. Yeah, but pretty good. And that of course continued on the theme about talking about the Murchison meteor, because there's a nice video of that, and then talking about the Cranbourne event, which is potentially interesting tonight as well. All right, thanks Steve for calling in, and yeah, not a problem on coming up a bit late, that's all right. John, I think it is, VK3BSE, VK3EKH.
Of the meteorites and hypothesize about the breakup of the original meteoroid. But what kind of cosmic event produced the Cranbourne shower? The scattered find sites offer tantalizing hints. The Cranbourne meteor
Yeah. Yeah, good on you, John. VK3BSE, VK3EKH returning VK3CSJ on the microphone. Yeah, look, that's fine, John, and thanks for the good report. As I said in the beginning of tonight's session, I usually use I have two Pro 3s, ICOM 756 Pro 3 radios. They produce a decent SSB signal. I've always had a very nice SSB signal on them. but they've both failed me, different kinds of faults. But in recent times, they've both played up to my annoyance, and I've got to try and get to them to see if I can fix the problem. But in the meantime, I'm using an FTDX 9000D, and it's a big, huge, heavy wireless, and its menu setup for EQ is embedded somewhere within the system. I haven't really bothered exploring it, but I know that I could probably improve the audio quality. I've got a Behringer 16-channel Behringer mixer here that I use to try and get the levels right between what's happening on my TV video side and the HF station. And it's a before I play anything off video, I have to reduce levels quite a bit, because what's coming out of the computer via the mixing desk is right up here somewhere, and if I don't wind the gain right down, I'll overdrive the 9000. Wasn't so bad with the Pro 3, so but I did have other things in line to knock gains back and get the things right. So I've got to try and find out what's wrong with my Pro 3. Anyway, well, that's to be worked on. All right. Look, thanks, guys, for calling in tonight. Oh, but it's Britt. I missed you, Britt. For some reason, I jumped right over you. Why did I do that? Anyway, you're there, and I shall go right across to you. VK3AOB. My apologies for jumping over you. I don't know why I did that. VK3. Oh, dear. VK3EKH.
Yeah, fine, no problem. I totally forgive you. You're exonerated. You can go to sleep with a clear conscience. Yeah, I didn't quite hear all of it tonight. I recorded it all, so recorded it all on the radio here, so I'll play it back tomorrow. But I'm doing other things here, and I'm currently peeling the black peg shrink off a, I don't know, it's about 14 inches long rubber ducky end. It's off the car. I got it from the record today. I'm just going to see if I can put a few more turns on it to give it a bit more gain. I don't, oh, there we go, it's tearing off there. Good, great. Unusual the way it's made, this Holden thing. Anyway, yeah, Owen Gary, he's a ham, I believe. Yeah, I remember hearing about him being up in space at the time that he was there. So I didn't know about his prank photograph. I've got a few ears twisted listening, watching what. Right. Anyway, there you go. Yeah, good job. And your 5x9 plus 20 to 25 was made without the preamps on. And the summer station there was 5x9 plus 20 as well, good signal. Well, you're both off the side of my dipole too. It's favouring Melbourne and south. From here, south-east, north-west, basically what it's looking at. Anyway, there you go. I'll leave it at that, and yeah, otherwise, job well done. VK3, EKH, VK3, AOV.
Yeah, you're forgiven, Britt. Not a problem. Yeah, look, I've got a bit more detail here of what was actually transpired. The Wikipedia didn't cover it in the detail that I've got here. It says here, just briefly, it says here that the greatest space prank in history belongs to an American astronaut, Owen Garriott. I think that's how you pronounce his surname. It happened in 1973 aboard the US space station Skylab. Garriott wasn't just a brilliant astronaut. He also had was a first-class prankster, and that he pulled off the cassette recorder earned him a place in space folklore. It says here that before the mission, Garriott brought along a tape recorder. On it, his wife Helen recorded a few lines, part of a top-secret prank designed especially for flight controller Robert Crippen back at Mission Control. It says here that one day, right before the the usual daily check-in with Earth, the voice from Houston came through. Skylab, this is Houston. Do you read? Garriott stepped up to the transmitter, pressed play, and from orbit came a woman's voice. Good afternoon, Houston. This is Skylab. Silence. Then a confused voice from Earth saying, who is this speaking? Helen's voice replied, Hi, Robert. This is Helen, Owen's wife. A long pause. Then Crippen clearly panicked. What are you doing up there? He said. Helen answered calmly, Oh, I just thought I'd bring the guys something to eat, fresh and homemade. And then radio silence. Total chaos at mission control. For a full 1 minute, the room froze. This remains one of the most legendary pranks in space history, a reminder that even in the vast silence of space, there's always room for a laugh. So there it is. I wonder if there's actually an audio recording of that somewhere in the archives. But yeah, that was interesting to discover that only yesterday. I learnt about that. There it is. All right, on that note, this is VK3EKH, the official station for the Astronomical Society of Victoria. VK3EKH belongs to the ASV and has been broadcasting here on 3541 kilohertz since 1988, courtesy of Russell Ward, VK3DRW, who kicked it off for the first 20 years. Good on you, Russell, if you're still listening there. If you are listening. I took over the radio around about 2008. So we're looking at doing it for at least 20 years and balancing it out and then calling it quits. So I'm here for a little bit longer unless I decide to finally give it up as a bad joke. Anyway, all right, cheers everyone. Take care. I'll be back next Friday to do it all again. Have a safe week and weekend and following week. Try and stay warm. Tomorrow's maximum temperature, I believe, is going to be no more than 12 degrees. There is definitely a southerly breeze coming up behind this cold front, and it's carrying a lot of icy wind with it. So stoke your fires and have a fireplace burning away to warm up the house. It sounds like a lovely idea, but unfortunately I don't have a fireplace here, so I'm going to be relying on an air conditioner stressing itself out. Anyway, cheers everyone, take care, and we'll see you all next week. Is there anything else there I should be throwing into the mix? I will be up on Sunday morning, just a bit of a plug for the Wireless Institute broadcast. I do the WIA broadcast Sunday mornings on 160 metres. I'm still trying to get signal reports around the place on how well the 160 metre transmission goes out. On 1825 AM at 9 o'clock. I kick it off at 9 for half an hour, and then again at 10:30 on the Melbourne TV repeater. It's the video adaptation that I run. It's the same thing as what you hear anyway on FM repeaters around the place. But of course I run the video adaptation, which is done by Bevan VK5BD. So that if you're listening to me on 160, you can tune into my Discord or YouTube channel and see the video associated with the AM broadcast on Sunday mornings, just because I thought I can. So that's Sunday morning, every Sunday morning. I've been doing it for over a year now, and again, appreciate signal reports on that particular transmission. I know that I get across to Adelaide. I look at the Ironstone SDR every Sunday morning, and I can see a fat carrier over there. It depends on the signal, but if the signal's good enough, you'll hear you'll get recovered audio. But I'm always impressed how at 9 o'clock on a Sunday morning, I can get an AM signal across to Adelaide. So I'm just interested to know how far afield I can be heard on Sunday morning while you guys are having breakfast. Just thought I'd say that. Anyway, enough of that. This is VK3EKH, clear and closing down. Cheers, everyone. Have a nice weekend. Oh, yes, Dan. G'day.
on ATV now I'm talking about. There's a fair difference between your recorded audio and your microphone audio. The volume sitting on the set was up and down a bit. Yeah, I was rather interested to see the bit on the Cranbourne meteorite. Did you know about it? Never heard of it. But it was a rather interesting section. I wouldn't be surprised if I've got a bit of it in my backyard. What actually prompted that is when we moved in here, which is now 12 years ago, we wanted to plant some plants out in the backyard. And there was an area, I can't remember exactly where it is. You couldn't get through it. It was, we didn't exactly know why. They must be a hell of a size or strange one. We first of all tried to shovel it. It was just a bit below the surface, but nothing was there. You couldn't get a shovel through it. And we tried it with a pick, and you couldn't get a pick through it. And at the time, one of the relations brought down a jackhammer, and the jackhammer couldn't get through it. It was obviously something very, very strong. Anyway, we sort of abandoned that bit, and we sort of moved out to the side where we could find some softer soil. It always remained a dilemma as to just what was there that was so bloody hard. Well, I don't remember exactly. It'd be interesting to get a magnetometer to get in there now and see if there's any iron or whatever in the ground there. I don't remember exactly what part of the backyard it was, but I know it was bloody hard and we couldn't get through it, and we abandoned it on that basis. And there's probably plants around the periphery of the thing now, but in that area there's anyway. It was just an interesting observation. But I reckon it'd be interesting to get a magnetometer and have a walk around and see if there's any large iron readings. Anyway, enough of all of that waffle. I wasn't here on your trek on the way home tonight, as you've noted. I had to take Jan out down to the docks today. She hasn't been quite the best. So we've had a bit of a trek around and a bit of a late arrival home, as it turned out. Anyway, real good pictures from you on RTV. Now that I've changed that rotten weed, not one pixel, not one bit of breakup, not one anything. The only thing that was notable was the drop in audio level. So. There we are. That's the latest. VK3CSJ, it might be EKH still, VK3WV.
Yeah, okay, g'day Dan. VK3WV, VK3CSJ, and I noticed that I've had my CSJ call sign up all through the hour. I normally run the ASV logo, which is not that, which is not that, which is that. That's what I usually have running on the screen during the Friday night broadcast. Completely forgot to have that going, but that's all right. We'll go back to my call sign anyway. There it is. Yeah, I hope Jan's okay. Hope it's nothing too serious. And be interesting to run a magnetometer. That would be an interesting one to see. 1, 2, 3, 4. Just making sure my level's not too high up there. 1, 2, 3, 4. As I said to Britt before, since my Pro 3s have failed me, I've got to be mindful of the audio level running between the video side of the station and HF, I know it varies. Before I do anything, I've got to wind the gain right down on almost everything. I turn the mic off, and then the main output from the mixer, I bring it right down to virtually just off the stop, and then I switch across to the video, and then I select the speaker monitor on the 9000 to make sure that the audio there is not sounding too bad. It's the only way I can do it at the moment. So I'm hoping that I can get my Pro 3s, at least one Pro 3, back to operating condition for 80 metres, and 9000 can stick to SSB comms. But that's another story. No, I thought because of the meteorite that occurred last week, I thought I'd have a bit of a meteorite theme this for tonight, and I was wanting to do that because of the recent media activity, and I know that Monash University were out there on Monday trying to find fragments, and once again on ASV's Facebook page, there's a dedicated Facebook page for the comet, meteor and comet section, and they were absolutely alive with activity. So I thought, oh yeah, look, I'll come up and make a bit of a theme of it, more or less. Yeah, okay. You're slightly off frequency. I'm I've been trying to adjust you down, but for the life of me, I'm because this wireless has got so many knobs on the front of it, I can't see where the RIT is. It's one of these things where I need a torch on the front of the radio so I can bloody well see what I'm looking at. And I've got this light here. I suppose I could use that light, but actually, hang on a sec. I'll get my mobile phone. Oh. Sorry about black cats. Where's my mobile phone? Have you seen it? Where's the mobile phone? Oh dear. Do you think I can find my mobile phone? Anyway, this is the astronomy torch. This is what every astronomer uses when they're out in their telescope. Red lights and nothing else. Alright, where is the RIT on this? There's just not one singular knob, is there? I know it's a button I've got to press to bring it on, and I just I can't make it out. I know I have found it once before. I used the RIT, but I can't see it. I don't know why I can't see it. Clarifier. Oh, there it is. It's kind of hidden under things. All right, it's actually a clarifier, not an RIT. All right, I'll have a play. I'll have a play with that when I put it back to you. But yeah, you're slightly high in frequency, and I've got you patched through on the audio coming out of the speaker onto ATV. All right, not a problem. What else? Yeah, I forgot to mention when I spoke to you last on the repeater on the way home. I think that was Thursday afternoon. But talking about ham clock, I did send you the last email from Jason because I was telling him that we had success, and I showed him the picture of the ham clock working on your small screen at the time, and he was very, very pleased that we finally made some sense out of it. But he went on to talk about the lack of on-screen keyboard, and he made a few interesting comments. But the one that I felt was really of value was the the fact that he appreciated that our feedback to him anyway, and he's going to be using that feedback for any future sales that he has for his Raspberry Pis, whatever he's doing. But in future, he will make sure that an on-screen keyboard of some sort is installed, just in case the people need to use it. So anyway, but he was very appreciative of the feedback that I've been giving him, and the fact that we finally got it working. So I think that was a general success story overall. Magnetometer. I'm still waiting for this magnetometer to arrive from Whittam Reeve over in Alaska. It's on its way. I've put the tracking information in my mobile phone, and it should be arriving actually on Monday or Tuesday next week. So I don't know whether we can perhaps use that to go do a survey of your backyard. I don't know, but we'll see if we can before I go burying the sensors into the ground at some point in time. All right. What time is it? It's coming up to midnight. Okay, VK3WV, VK3CSJ.
VK3CSJ, VK3WV. Yeah, all right, Clint. Well, look, the dial says 3541.00, so it shouldn't really be all that far out. Anyway, this is the 7300. Yeah, well, perhaps the magnetometer might come in mildly useful just before you bury it. Yeah, I was always staggered. I was always intrigued by the fact that there was something there which you couldn't get through even with a jackhammer. So, I mean, if it had been a clod of earth or a bit of rock or a bit of clay or something like that, you might have expected something to give way, but it didn't. Anyway, it was just a joke at the time, and we thought, ha ha ha, and we'll put the tree over here instead of there. Well, the shrub it was actually. Yes, I did get that email from you. Thank you very much. I did note the comments, and I think he's already done it because he's got another ham clock up now on ham, whatever it's called. I've forgotten the name. But this time he's got a touch screen unit up. A fair bit more expensive. It's got his call sign up in the corner, so I know it's him. And it's the same thing, of course, except that he's selling it with a touch screen unit. So whether he needs to incorporate it into the... well, he may or may not have used the same Raspberry Pi. I don't know. But anyway, yeah, it seems to be okay. It seems to be working satisfactorily, although I haven't got it on at the moment. I don't run it 24 hours a day, as some of the American stations had suggested. But it's ready to go when I feel inclined to, which is the same as it is for the rest of the stations. Came home today and found the vertical antenna on a bit of a crazy angle. Now, hell, what's the wind done here? And because I didn't expect, I mean, there's certainly fairly high winds up here. And these high winds, well, they certainly blew the trees around. But I didn't expect it to blow the vertical about. And when I looked at it, it was on a funny angle, and one of the guy's strings, which was pretty substantial, I mean, it's very thin, but it's a pretty substantial piece of string, effectively, a nylon. One end of it had sort of become loose. Well, how did it do that with 3 knots in it? and when I looked at it, it still had the 3 knots in it. So the thing had sort of like bellied in the middle. So, of course, I thought I'll have to retie the thing for the moment to make sure it doesn't get damaged. So, as you'd expect, I'm out in the bloody wind and out in the rain and out in the... trying to get this damn knot undone with a pair of pointy-nosed pliers halfway up a ladder. Marty Rabbit radio. Why do I bother with this crap? VK3CSJ, VK3WV.
Yeah, no worries, Tim. You're on frequency now, spot on. So, I mean, my dial reads 000 as well. I'm fairly certain it's spot on. But the minor adjustment that you've made somewhere along the way, you're spot on now. So, don't know, but you sound cool. And of course, you're hearing yourself through ATV. So, yep, there it is. I've got the all sky camera up at the moment. That's the all sky camera running at Heathcote at the Leon Mao Dark Sky site, and you can see how the Milky Way is coming through nice and crystal clear, as well as the small and large Magellan clouds you can just make out there, and of course some aircraft in view. That's the pulsating light, navigation lights on the aircraft flying over. It's probably the only issue about where the dark sky site's located. It's right under a major flight path for aircraft coming in from Sydney to Melbourne, or anywhere else really. Yeah, I'm looking forward to getting an all sky camera running here as well. It's a Raspberry Pi. It's a wide-angle fisheye lens connected to a Raspberry Pi that gets that image up there. So the Raspberry Pis are quite a useful device if you don't mind the potential RFI interference that they generate. Actually, be interested to know, have you tested that when you've got your unit running, whether there is a notable increase in noise on the HF. That's all you need is an increase in noise caused by that ham call unit. I don't think there would be though. I think it'd be a reasonably quiet device. Unlike as I've said to you, the 2 controllers that are in the dome, there's 2 Raspberry Pis that are in both controlling boxes, and as soon as I power them up, 160 is. I haven't checked the other HF bands, but 160 is affected by an increase in noise. So it's like I've said before. It's if I'm playing ham radio, then the computers in the scope dome are got to be turned off. Which is a bit unfortunate. Although I could probably investigate that because they are. The 2 control boxes are built in plastic cases, so if I was really keen, I could probably move everything to an Eddystone box and put adequate shielding and earthing and try and clean up as much as possible at where the RF is coming from. So I guess that's possible. But the other thing I've got to consider is that the 160 metre vertical is, as you know, right next to the dome. If I could relocate the 160 metre vertical away from the dome, it might make all the difference. I'm not sure. But now that we've cleared part of the garden, I might have a new home, possibly. Depends on whether Tiffany, our other gardener, doesn't mind. Our other gardener on the property here doesn't mind having another vertical sitting in the middle of the garden. Now that it's cleared, I've got room for this 630 metre vertical. And get it away from the mains cable that's buried in the ground. Anyway, that's another story. Yeah, okay. On this rock that you were trying to tackle with too. So look, you should if you can expose a part of it and get a tip some water over it, and clear the surface off. The water over a rock always helps to show its true colours, and see if it looks like looks like something that might have fallen from the sky. You might be able to make a lot of money from it. Anyway, but given that there was already 18 fragments of this, I think it was 18. Where's my Wikipedia page? Murchison forgotten. 13. Sorry, 13 fragments. They categorise them as Cranbourne 1 to Cranbourne 13, and Cranbourne 1, the first fragment, is being dubbed Bruce Meteorite, nickname Bruce Meteorite, 1853, and it was 3.5 kilograms in weight, and that's currently sitting at the National History Museum in London. Then the second Cranbourne meteorite, part of the same thing, is called the Abel meteorite, 1853, and that was 1.5 kilograms, and that's currently sitting at the Melbourne Museums Victoria, so you can see that one. In fact, I might have seen that at some stage if I think about it. I have seen meteorites in the museum at some stage. But the rest of the meteorites vary in different sizes, and Pakenham, Beaconsfield, Langwarrin, Piercedale, and the thing is, the most recent fragment, Cranbourne 13, was found in 2008, and that's currently sitting in Museums Victoria on loan to City of Casey. Got to find out where that is. I know that there was a building in Cranbourne city area that advertised, or they had a sign. I remember there was always a sign that you saw on Cranbourne Road saying Cranbourne meteorites this way. I never followed that up. I never took that right turn and went investigating, and I think that display has now been relocated or moved somewhere. I need to find out where that is. So yeah, so it'd be interesting to know where it's all being placed. But as they say, some of these large impacts were just below the surface, and I should be able to run that video. It should be just here somewhere. It's just here somewhere. vMix makes it difficult. Here it is. I'll kill the audio so there's no audio. Audio. Okay. So let me see. Where's the video on this? No, that was the wrong thing I pressed just then. Sorry about that. Okay, here we are.
Right field likely fell within the last
audio.
8.
Don't want the audio. So and get rid of me up there. Now there was a picture they had. Let's see if I can find. There's one meteorite. But there was a picture of it in the ground. Like look at the size of this one. That's a big mother. But there was one in the ground they had a picture of, and it was just sitting below the surface. As I skip through all this, there we are. Oh, hang on. There we are. That's it. That's the image. Look at that. That looks like a huge chunk that they've found. It's just below the surface, and clearly a fairly dated image there, photograph taken quite some time ago. Yeah, I I wonder about that picture. How real is that? Anyway, oh my goodness me, it's been a horrible long week, actually, and every week, every day this week has been long. Not that I've worked a long day, but it just feels like I have. And of course, I haven't been getting to bed early. I've been averaging 2 to 3 o'clock. One stage, I think it was almost 3:30. So I haven't really been getting enough sleep this week. And every day I've been clocking on late, only by about 10 odd minutes or so. But it's been a bit of a horrible week. So got to try and pick myself up for next week. We've got a lunch tomorrow. 3 of the work guys who don't work at SRX anymore, but 3 of the guys that I usually have a lunch with every 6 or 10 months. So we organise a bit of a lunch together. So that's tomorrow, and we'll be off at 12 o'clock to a little cafe next to Spotlight in Fountain Gate there. So we'll be there for a couple of hours tomorrow in the cold and wet. I hope they have their doors closed, this place, because they do have a fairly large door that opens up to an outside area for people to sit. I don't think it'll be very pleasant being outside tomorrow with the way the weather's going to be. It's 7.1 degrees right now, and I can really feel the cold. Anyway, enough of that. So that might be what you've got in your backyard, is one of these guys. My God, if you had something like that in your backyard, oh my goodness me, you'd be on the 6 o'clock news. VK3WV, VK3CSJ.
Yeah, it probably isn't when it's all said and done. Maybe it's just a big bloody bit of useless rock or something that was, who can tell? I know whatever it was damned hard and we couldn't do anything with it. And it might actually, like I said, I don't remember exactly where it was. It might actually be underneath one of the above ground, whatever you call it, gardening enclosure things. Or hell, it could even be one of the glass houses, I don't know. I know it's somewhere down there. Anyway, I'll probably just forget about it, ignore it, it's all said and done. Yeah, okay. Oh, look, it wasn't you, it was me. I was off, maybe a tad off frequency at the start. I came up on the F27 initially, and it's got an old analog dial on it because it's an old rig, 1970s rig. So it could have been a Westcroft, and that's probably what you picked. But when you made the comment, I changed to the 7300. And that exhibits, of course, the much advanced technology over the 1970s unit. You can adjust the frequency and have it right. So that was that. Okay. I'm going to the place tomorrow for a sup. You're right. It's going to be cold. It's not so bad for me in here right now. It's probably about 13 degrees in here, quite comfortable. Mind you, I'm sitting here with a jacket on. But in spite of the fact that it's probably pretty cold outside right now, I'm reasonably comfortable. Haven't got a heater or anything on, but just a little bit warmer than it normally is when one is protected from the elements. So all very good, but I can I can sympathise with you going out tomorrow. And of course, according to the weather people, well, yes, we know the next couple of days are going to be a bit iffy. Cold air up from Antarctica. Yeah, I don't think we see any good days again for about, I think 2 or 3 days. According to the lady on the TV, which is sometimes a bit of a variable damn thing. You know, I'm not actually listening to the audio of TV at the moment. There's a fair lag between reality and what comes through on ATV, so I've got the sound down on the monitor, and I'm listening to you on 3541. So yeah, and I have noted when you put your call sign up for EKH, that comes on the screen okay, but the monitor is just slightly over scanning, and when you put your call sign up, I barely get a bit of the J on the end of your call sign. It's being pretty pedantic, but there is a slight difference in the scan, and there's also a slight difference in the positioning of your call sign as compared to the EKH call sign. So at the moment I can see it's some VK3CS. And if you look real hard on the end, you might just see the start of the J. Well, I could maybe twiddle a monitor, but I don't think it's really worth the effort. VK3CSJ, VK3WV.
Well, it looks all right here. It's both on vMix on the computer, and what I'm seeing off air from the repeater. It's well within the boundary. I've probably got about a centimetre, if you want to say that, 2 centimetres between the edge of the screen and where the text is. So as far as I can see, my call sign and the seconds indicator are well within view. As far as I know, that's all right. So yeah, probably just a scanning thing, but yeah, don't worry about it. All right. I didn't realise you'd gone across to your. Well, you did mention that. I didn't realise that you were on the FT7 at the beginning, so that'll always do it. Graham's the same. If Graham comes up on his FT7, he's always off frequency to me. So yeah, so it's understandable. Okay, yeah, well, it's 6.9, so temperature continues to drop. It's gone from over a 7 to 6.9 right now, and the wind is coming in from the northwests at the moment at about 5 kilometres an hour, but it's a cold wind that we speak of. Okay, I don't think there's anything else. I think yesterday afternoon, before it got any darker, I managed to shuffle the remains of the burning that I did out. You remember when you drove in here the other day? You drove over the ashes in the car area out here, parking area. Well, I shoveled all that out and threw that to the side of the property where I normally dump that. So that's all cleared now. You wouldn't tell, to look at it, you wouldn't tell that I'd been burning a fire there. But further over in the garden where I burnt all the other garden waste, there's a decent pile of ashes. I'm hoping that the wind that we've been having these last couple of days and hopefully tomorrow will blow a lot of that ash across the yard, and it'll all disappear. But some of them I'm going to have to shovel off into the wheelbarrow and get rid of it to one side. But I don't think I'll be doing any gardening this weekend. You know, after I get back from the lunch tomorrow, the plan actually is to. I bet you I don't do it, but the plan is to get upstairs and start sorting out my my library. As I've mentioned before, after moving the shack downstairs, the room upstairs is in just a complete disarray, and I've got books stacked on top of books everywhere, and all the magazines, astronomical magazines, have all spread across the floor. I just haven't bothered cleaning it up. The cats are having a great time up there, running around. So, I really must tidy that all up, and make the astronomer's office look a little bit more presentable, because that's where I intend to do all my remote observation is up there in that room. And I'm still thinking about having a little bit of the Radio Shack up there too. So I'm the whole problem about moving the shack downstairs is these cables coming through the roof. I can't make up my mind what I want to do about rerouting these cables. So at the moment they remain coming through the roof, which means that the panel that sits up here continues to be open, which means that all the air that's up there and down here mingles. I can't isolate the environment up there, and I think that's why I'm feeling a lot of the cold that comes down is what's coming through up from upstairs. But it's a mess up there at the moment, and I want to tidy it up. I want to put all my usable books back into their appropriate positions in the bookcases and tidy it all up. Get the feather duster up there, get rid of all this dust, and make it presentable. But I want to get everything off the floor. I mean, there's just stuff all over the floor, and I want to get everything off the floor. And what doesn't have to be on the floor is off the floor and somewhere else. And I can get the vacuum cleaner up there and go over the whole carpet. And once I've vacuumed the carpet and everything's presentable and tidied up and clean, I've got a special UV lamp, which I'll run up there for an hour and bathe the environment with ultraviolet. I don't know if I've shown you that. Let me show you this UV lamp. Just going to the other side of the room here. Ugh. Alright, this is the UV lamp. Hello, black pussy cats. This is, I think it was off Facebook, but this is my special UV lamp, and it produces ultraviolet. And oops, wrong camera. A UV-ializer. So yeah, 38 watt. UV disinfection lamp, they call it. So yeah, anyway, and it has a very unique smell. So when you've got this going, you're not up there while it's going. You vacate the room, as it says here on the label. Let me change camera. Health risk from UVC and ozone. Do not operate around people or pets. Never look at the UVC light. Do not enter the room for 40 minutes after use. So anyway, I have had it going once upon a time, but I've just got to clean up the room up there. I want to clean it up. I just want to tidy it up. It's annoying annoying the crap out of me that it's so messy up there. It's only me, myself and I up there, so I'm not too worried, but still, I do prefer tidiness. And look at the shack around me. It is an absolute disaster. My kingdom for a real tidy place. It's a source of frustration, I can tell you. Oh. All right. We did detect that earthquake that occurred at Rosebud on the other day, 3 something magnitude, but it wasn't a massive displacement on the chart, but we did actually record it at 4:30 in the morning, somewhere around about then. So I certainly wasn't up at that stage. In fact, I probably just got to bed. So that was a bit of a local shaker for the guys down there at Rosebud. And there's been another quake out at the Philippines area, I think, New Hebrides area actually. That 5 point something that registered as well. So yeah, lots of activity going on. In the meantime, I think we'll call it quits at this stage, and I'll just check some of my emails and see how we go. I'm still streaming to YouTube too. I should have turned that off actually ages ago. I don't leave my YouTube stream running until after once I finish the broadcast. So my apologies for anybody that's still watching YouTube. Boring stuff. So I should shut that down. Normally I shut my streams down before I continue on, but I've completely forgot about it. Not worry about the repeater. Yeah. All right. I might leave it at that for the time being. VK3WV, VK3CSJ on 80 metres.
VK3CSJ, VK3WV. Yeah, a couple of comments there. Your UV light, you've got to be a bit careful with them. As it's stated on it, they produce ozone, O3, and that's a poisonous gas as far as the human body is concerned. And the UV itself, well, you don't want to look at it, you'll sunburn your eyeballs, which won't do you much good either. Well, it can be cancerous on the skin too, so you need to be sort of fairly careful with how you use it. But it's very good for knocking out bacteria and such like that are in carpets and such like. That's why people use them. So very good for sort of cleaning the place up. But not from the point of view of stuff strewn all over the floor. You've got to do something about that yourself. It's always a bit of a problem with you, really, because you've sort of, in a way, you were better off upstairs from a cable point of view. On the other hand, you want to be near your big transmitters, which are all downstairs, because you can't get them up. So you've got a bit of a catch-22 in some ways. Be much better if you sorted yourself out one way or the other. Even if the one way or the other means half up there and half downstairs, just leave your transmitter racks, your big transmitters downstairs, and maybe your workshop, and have the rest, and perhaps a little more comfortably upstairs. But I know the cable's are a problem to you. The only thing one can suggest is if you cut a hole in the panels that are there and thread them through there, rather than having this big squarish or rectangular area up there that all the cables sort of fall through at one end. Anyway, you'll be able to sort that out one day, probably. I know what you mean. I don't like mess myself. You're probably aware that the way my shack is, I try to keep it fairly decent and fairly tidy. I don't like having it all messy and horrible. And the same thing down in the theatre room, although I've got to revamp that soon. I'm not happy with it the way it is, but there's a bit of revamping to be done there in terms of speaker placement and monitor placement and where the second screen goes. But the shed is a total disaster. Where the tools are and my workshop is, you can barely get in now, and that's been due to the fact there's been a bit of industry down there. I've been doing a bit of stuff for Jan and her dolls' houses, and that's involved getting out the a couple of the different saws that I've had to do a little bit more of the finish work on. And of course that puts dust all over the place, and then there's a bandsaw that and then there's the grinder, and bloody hell, stuff everywhere. So it's a different view, yeah. The shed's become a hell of a mess because I've had to pull tools out of places that I've had sort of tucked away nice and neat, and haven't been easily able to get back to them to put them away nice and neat. They're all over the bench, so you can't get on the bench anymore, and it's just a total mess. And I've not had the enthusiasm to get down there and clean it out. I guess when I'm busy doing things, cleanliness sometimes goes by the wayside. And I have a bit more to do for Jan for her dolls' houses. So I guess that's going to have to be done. I'm not doing a hell of a lot, but enough to make it all messy. And there's a bit more to do there. And then once I do that, I might look at tidying things up down there a bit. It does definitely need it. But the problem is all these side issues always come along. Well, you know about that sort of thing. You decide you're going to do this, that, or the other, but oh no, we have to do this, we have to do that, and one thing always leads to another. You're never in a situation where you can complete a task and it's completed. You do one thing and that makes something else happen, and then you do that and that makes something else happen again, and it just goes on and on and on. It concatenates. There's a word for you to stick up on 160 one day. In fact, I think I told you that once before. It's a bloody mess, and it's most annoying. And the problem is that when you tidy everything up, you don't want to do anything anymore because you might fuck it up. So it's much better to have it all nice and neat, and you've been in a state of ambience. Anyway, that's not quite what happens in life, is it? All right, better let you go, Clint. And interesting session tonight, and we'll kick it along a bit further another night, no doubt. Oh, that's what I was going to say. Yes, the earthquakes. Jan got on me back straight away. Now, if you had a geochron, you would have known all about that. That was that's Jan's comment on the damn thing. She's keen for me to get hold of the damn. Anyway, we'll see what happens. Okay, Clint, we'll catch you again soon. VK3CSJ, VK3WV.
Yeah, you'll have to make a decision about that at some point. That's for sure. It certainly looks impressive on the big screen, the geochron, and the various layers that you can show. The earthquakes, like when I know an earthquake has happened in real time, it probably takes about 5-10 minutes before it actually displays on the geochron, before it registers there, but eventually it does. And as I look at the geochron screen right now, I can see all these things happening. So yeah, I know you can also run precipitation radar, weather radar. Oh, pardon me. I did have that going, but I haven't. There was a reboot of the geochron. There was some update that came through, and automatically there's an update that automatically updates. Sometimes I lose some of the layers that I've had on the screen, which just simply means going into the menu and turning it back on again. But I did have the radar running worldwide, like it shows you where the rain is falling around the whole world, and so you can actually see what's coming up on Australia. So I did have that running. It steps, just like looking at any normal radar imagery. It steps through, so you can see the movement. I must fire that up again. But ultimately, that radar, that geochron screen is going to be fitted on the wall here. Once I get this wall sorted out, and it all decked out with nice wood teak material. If I go that way, I saw some sound absorbing panels the other day. It was on. In fact, it was today. I think it was. I noticed it on Facebook. There was an ad for square panels that looked like wood panels with the grated lines, and you stick them on the wall in different positions to add effect. But it was sound absorbing material, and I thought, oh yeah, that would probably look good here on the wall. So. We'll see, but yeah, look, the reason for coming downstairs with the shack was partly because of as I've said before, if I cark it next week, I want to make sure that the people who have to deal with all this stuff can deal with it easier. But if it was upstairs, there'd be potential for damage for passing stuff down. And as much as I would like the Telefunken behind me here, just in this, as you can see it, as much as that would be nice to have upstairs as well. It's the same thing. The noise it makes. I would still have to make a soundproof environment just to knock the sound down. So what I'm thinking of doing here is putting that somewhere in this area where I can have a wall or something around it to dampen the sound down. So there's still a substantial mucking around that's going on in this area, and I'd like to. I'd like to set up a studio environment here where I've got the audio panel, and everything sorted out like a broadcast station, and including a turntable. Well, I don't need the turntable, but. Yeah, and glass paneling, and through the glass paneling you see the transmitting stuff. That's the vision. That would be really cool. Oh dear, but it'll probably never happen. Oh well, I hope it will. It's just one thing after another. I've just got to tackle things bit by bit. All right. I think we'll call it quits at this stage. I'll leave you with it, and I'll be on the radio in the car while I'm travelling to and fro from lunch tomorrow. So I'll give a call when I'm in the car. Might get somebody else up, but if you're around, you're around. I don't think there'll be much happening tomorrow outside in the garden. It'll be too cold potentially windy and potentially rainy. So it'll be definitely an indoor thing tomorrow. And okay, on your garage out the back there with the mess, and yeah, well, it's a hassle. It is. As you know, I don't have an appropriate work area here. If I can ever get the room at the back of me here, mum's old bedroom, if I can get that room sorted out, the walls replaced and all the termite damaged timber replaced, that will potentially be a storage area and a workroom. So my dedicated repair bench, which you can't see on camera here, but up against that wall, there's the dedicated workbench, and that'll probably go in next door. So that frees up all the space. So this will become just the Radio Shack area, and try and get everything as neat as possible. Yeah. So looking forward to that happening at some stage. Yeah. Anyway, we'll see. I must stop the YouTube stream. That's unnecessary to keep going at the moment. So I shall conclude transmission, both on TV, and the ATV QSO party is on the 30th. So that's only not this Saturday, but next Saturday. So not tomorrow, but 2 weeks away. God, it still feels like it's a month away. I don't know why. It feels like it's a month away, but it's not. Anyway, it should be a bit of fun. All right, Dan, catch you later, mate. You get to bed. VK3WV, VK3CSJ.
Yes, I shall do exactly that. The night's got on, 25 past 12, so it's time I abandoned all this
Nonsense.
trivia and went and enjoyed a bit of slumber. So thanks for the words, and we'll catch you again later on. I don't know if I'll be around tomorrow when you're on the way to or on the way from. In fact, it might be that I'm on the way to or on the way from somewhere as well. So should I not be there, well, we'll catch up with you when we do. Maybe Sunday, or maybe is Monday your RDO? No, it isn't. Okay, well, possibly then maybe Monday on your sojourn on the way to work and or back. Catch you later. VK3CSJ, VK3WV will be clear.
Yeah, no worries, Dan. I think my next RDO is the Friday. I have to check. It might be Friday the 5th of next month, or possibly Monday the 1st. It's in that week. I think it's in that first week of September. So yeah, I'll have to check the calendar, but it doesn't matter. All right, mate. Take care. Have a nice night. And if we hear you over the weekend, we hear you. Otherwise, see you possibly Monday afternoon. VK3WV, VK3CSJ, both of us have been on 80 metres through 541, and I've been on ATV and YouTube and Discord, and we'll finish up there. So on that, cheers, Dan. It's 6.8 degrees now.
Cheers, Clint. Sleep warm. VK3WV clear.